question which is for all the panel members, but I'll go one by one. Where is tech going? I mean, high tech, this thing. In terms of how we are evolving, there are three parts of tech. One is transaction capture, second is exchanges, which is payment systems, and the third is use of tech for making decisions, loan decisions and so on. Given these three buckets, where are we going? I'll start with you, Deepak, first, since I just discovered that you had a tech background. Yeah, sure. Then I'll move to the others.
Yeah, so actually there's no end to answering the question of where is tech going, but we'll try and restrict it specifically to the microfinance sector. Yeah. So broadly, the way we look at it, in fact, one line that I do feel was stolen by Uday was the whole thing about touch and tech. In fact, I feel that this topic shouldn't be from high touch to high tech. It should actually be high touch and high tech. Because lending fundamentally is the easy part, is the collection part, which is the difficult part in this business. And even at Light Microfinance, we look at the whole thing as technology at the core, high tech at the core, and high touch at the edge, right? So the core is driven by technology, and the touch still remains, whether it is enabled by technology or not. In terms of trend lines, if you look at it last several years, I would say from my perspective that the largest credit for the tech enablement in this space actually should go to the government, right, and the regulator. If you didn't have the JAM trilogy out there, if you didn't have the network connectivity out there, if you didn't have the mobile phones out there, if you didn't have smartphones out there, all of this technology that we're talking about specifically to this sector, I'm not talking about in general to high tech. It would just not be possible for us to be even talking about technology for this space, right? India is a very complex country. We have 620,000 villages, and believe it or not, even today there are 25,000 villages which don't have any internet access and don't have any mobile access. So for us to talk about access to finance, we actually have to go all the way back for a small segment of people to say, first, let's start with the basics, right? If you look at October 2020, and just to see that where, India is like a snake, right? The tail is way back there, but the head is way out there. In October 2020, India had roughly 4 crores per day of real-time transactions, right? This is just 15 months ago. Guess what the number is today, 15 months later? 15 months later, we had 14 crores. 15 months ago, we crossed US and China in real-time transactions. Unheard of if you had to think about it 10 years ago. But if you peel back the onion and see why that happened fundamentally because of this large-scale top-down interventions. Now, once you assume that that is in place, then Sriram, what you're saying, all of that starts applying, right? Analytics, reaching out to these customers, getting in the transaction data, and then sitting on top of that KYC. Which was a big hurdle. All the microfinance practitioners here will know that KYC was a huge headache. To some extent, it still is, but it's largely been solved now. So technology is heading in a direction where adoption is a no-brainer, right? It's no longer a question on whether adoption will happen or not. It's a matter of how it is that we're going to adopt it so that it happens more efficiently, it happens deeper, it happens more specific to that particular customer. And I think Mr. Sharma had mentioned that the new regulation guidelines are coming out. They've worked very closely with all the stakeholders to actually understand that it is not just one size fits all, which is actually the current regulation, but the new regulations will allow that analytics. Otherwise, what's the point of doing analytics? What's the point of capturing all of the data?
Sure. I mean, part of it is, of course, this top-down government, but I guess the ecosystem also evolved side by side. I don't think we should take credit away from the rest of the ecosystem. I remember when microfinance started, one of the earliest conversations I had was with Vijay Chandru, who had just launched his computer. And they said, this is the most appropriate device for microfinance, so how can we get it on? Just went nowhere at that time. So unless you have the ecosystem, it is not that, ideas were not there, but there is a time for the idea also to evolve. You need...
it was a wonderful product. I actually played with it.
Yeah.
Very nice product.
Yeah, so you know how old I am.
Or I am.